I am Dracula, and I welcome you to my house.
Hi there everybody, Paul here from Ballistic Blood Bullets, and it is time to sink our teeth into a bloody treat. In recent years, the discovery of new footage to a classic Hammer horror film which has been processed, cleaned up, and finally released to Blu-ray, DVD, and is near a fully uncut and completely restored edition of the film from Hammer Horror Studios, and that film is, of course, none other than Dracula. The classic 1958 Hammer Horror Studios film starring Christopher Lee as Count Dracula, Peter Cushing as Van Helsing, Professor Van Helsing, and this one also co-stars Michael Gough and Melissa Stribling. It is a wonderful, wonderful time for horror fans. Dracula, of course, one of the great classic horror icons, and Hammer Studios, Hammer Horror Film Studios, was pretty much on the back of this and the Curse of Frankenstein, which preceded Dracula by 1 year in 1957. It kick-started the horror cycle of films, much like the Universal Horror Studios movies did back in the 30s and 40s, with, of course, the likes of Boris Karloff, Bela Lugosi, and so many others, the likes of Claude Rains. Just so many, and the contemporary stars in the late 50s are, of course, Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. Now, the story behind this is that the edition we're going to look at on Blu-ray is a fully restored version, and it includes footage that was long since thought lost, but uncovered in a vault in, of all places, in Japan. So this version not only includes the restored version from the British Film Institute, but also now is the Hammer edit as well, which includes the extra material that was long thought missing from the Japanese print. Now, absolutely thrilled as a horror fan, and particularly growing up on the Hammer horror movies, to finally have this and take possession of it. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. And there is, of course, Christopher Lee as the eponymous Count Dracula. Now, this is a wonderful, wonderful release. It is a 3-disc affair, 2 DVD discs, and the Blu-ray, which has the full uncut feature. DVD disc 1 has the main feature, which is the BFI 2007 restoration. It also has a main feature behind the scenes. Disc 2 has special features, and there's lots and lots of special features there. Absolutely great value for money, and what every horror fan, every Hammer horror production film fan will be absolutely salivating over. A high definition presentation for the Blu-ray release, and it also has DTS HD dual mono sound, and it is an 82-minute version of the film, whereas just looking at the DVD edit, that seems to come out at 79 minutes. They're both in the original aspect ratio of 1:66:1, Now, unfortunately, it is a region B locked edition of the film, both on the DVD and also on the Blu-ray. So that is going to be disappointing for American fans and other fans around the world. Hopefully this edition gets released there sometime soon as well. But this is the real McCoy. Absolutely wonderful, wonderful stuff indeed. And just to have a look inside, I mean, it's a Blu-ray edition, so it's not a steelbook with fancy designs internally, but very nice, clean edition discs with suitably applicable art. This is DVD disc 1, and we also have, of course, DVD disc 2. So these two discs contain the DVD edition, the original BFI release of the film, and also the extras. And here we have what we are all very much particularly looking forward to, and it's the Blu-ray HD release of the fully uncut version of the film, including this much talked about found Japanese extra material edits to the film. So absolutely terrific, terrific stuff. Dracula in all of his originally intended certified X material version of the film. Now, I think that all of us will be much aware that this is a classic 1958 film directed by Hammer horror legend himself, Terence Fisher. Stars Christopher Lee as Count Dracula, Peter Cushing as Professor Van Helsing, and Michael Gough in a strong supporting role. Now, what is also interesting is that released in 1958, it was a further 8 years on till Dracula again rose up for the Hammer Studios, which is quite incredible, and that was in 1966 with Dracula Prince of Darkness. And even more incredibly so is it was a whopping 14 years after the original release of Dracula in 1958 until Christopher Lee as Dracula appeared alongside Peter Cushing in his role as Van Helsing, and that was in 1972's Dracula AD 1972. Now, we've all watched these Hammer films, these Dracula movies, and it is only when you realise that you just always associate Christopher Lee with Peter Cushing as Van Helsing, tracking him down, coming after him, trying to put him to death. But it was 14 long years before the two were brought together again in a Dracula movie. Now, although it is 8 years on after the release of the original Dracula with Christopher Lee, it is perhaps less known that Christopher Lee pretty much played Count Dracula again the following year. Now, the story behind this is that in 1959, Christopher Lee appeared in an Italian-French co-production as a mysterious presence, a vampiric presence, and he attended or appeared at an ancestral castle which had been transformed into a hotel. Christopher Lee's character soon arrives and is then, not long after, outed as a vampire, and although not actually credited as Count Dracula in this film, the movie is known in many regions under the title of Hard Times for Count Dracula, and that was made in 1959. An Italian-French co-production, as I say, perhaps quite astutely contracting Christopher Lee at the time and taking a bit of a punt on the success of Hammer's Dracula, perhaps even more so on the back of the success of The Curse of Frankenstein. But the wily Italian-French production team obviously had a winner, because Count Dracula, or Dracula 1958, was a worldwide smash. And on the back of that, the Italians and French had a great deal of success with Hard Times for Dracula, and they were rewarded for their foresight. So, Count Dracula unofficially appeared in 1959 with Christopher Lee. But this is the one, this is the big number, the one that we've all been very much waiting for, and really delighted to have this one. Looking forward to watching it, and absolutely wonderful, wonderful stuff. New people to Hammer films or Dracula, I would suggest perhaps not breaking the blood bank for this one, but perhaps well worth a vamp hire at least. But for true Hammer films, horror fans, this will be snapped up and definitely enjoyed with bloody relish. And I leave you with a shot of Christopher Lee as Count Dracula. Take care, everybody. Thanks for watching. See you all soon. Bye for now.